Hi, everyone. I'm Kristin Diaz on News Radio 1080 KRLD and a very proud member of DFW Hispanic Communicators. Thanks so much for joining us tonight for our second virtual meet and greet with our DFW HC mentors. Tonight, we're going to be connecting you with a stallion in the industry. She is a woman whose career spans over 4 decades in television, radio, digital, print news, and she is still going strong. Rebecca Aguilar, first Latina woman of color to become president of the Society of Professional Journalists, founded Latinas in Journalism in 2017. And this year, she's even started a new initiative. It's called Calling All Journalists. And she made a call for all of you guys to be joining us tonight. Thank you so much, Rebecca, for the time. We're really excited to kind of dive into your survival tips and your success plan. You were talking about this on social media today, and I know a lot of people have questions, which, by the way, if everyone can please mute your mic. And if you have any more questions, you guys want to let us know. We're going to be keeping a close watch on that. Thank you for everyone who has given us tons of questions already so far. We're going to try to get to every single one of them. But Rebecca, this is such a pleasure to chit chat with you tonight on this Tuesday evening.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate Mike de Salazar, who's the president of the local NHJ chapter, the Hispanic Communicators, DFW. I appreciate the efforts that are being done by this chapter because, you know, I truly believe that we succeed together. And no matter where you are in your journalism career or whether it's public relations or even marketing, you still need a survival and success plan. And that's why I thought today was a perfect time to share that with all.
Absolutely. To get things started, mentoring is giving guidance. Journalism is an act of service. This kind of goes hand in hand. Just curious, what gets you excited to do the work that you do each day, and what challenges you in our current state of the industry?
Wow, great question. I have a passion for journalism. My parents were the type of people who gave to the community, both undocumented workers turned green card holders and American citizen. My father passed away before that dream came true, but during their time in the United States, or my mother's still in the U.S., they were the kind that would help people all the time, and they didn't have the education you and I have. They didn't have the English ability that you and I have, but they were able to do it. And as immigrants, if they were able to help people, my mother became a migrant rights activist, helping people who work in the fields. She got them the first porta potties and water. Imagine that. My father helped people get into General Motors, women and blacks. Imagine, they didn't think we could put a little screw in a motor, and he was able to do that. And so I always was inspired by my parents because my father always said, if you follow the dollar, money, you won't get anywhere. But if you follow your passion and what you love, the world is basically yours. And no matter what age you are, you always have that passion as long as you love what you do and you're doing it for the right reasons.
Absolutely. And this industry is constantly evolving. But one thing that remains true is that we need to continue to help our fellow journalists, our fellow Latinos, as they continue to move up into this career, because doors continue to open and we need to continue to be able to fill these rooms with Latinos. And so I know you're a huge advocate for that. And there are a lot of kids right now that they're trying to figure their life out. And with this continuing to evolve, the industry, where do you see it right now for the state of Latinos? Is this is going to be an area for them to flourish, or do you expect them to have challenges?
Oh, there'll always be challenges. I mean, it doesn't matter whether you're a journalist or a dentist or a doctor or a lawyer, you're always going to have challenges. It's just that journalists and people like you and I, we're out there, we're in the public. So when we lose our job, everybody knows. When we get a job, everybody knows. And especially social media. I mean, I started when there was no social media. So imagine today. But I think there are a lot of opportunities. Yes, we see people like the Texas Tribune who laid off people last week, or Futuro Media that laid off people. Yeah, we're seeing it. But there's also new nonprofits starting up. There are people like you and I, let's say they let us go and decide, hey, you know what? I can start my own news profit, nonprofit that's in news, I mean. Mm-hmm. Yes. And I think there's always opportunities. But I think what's important for people, especially students, whoever is going to listen to this, leave the negative and the noise out of your head and just keep pushing forward. That's what a good journalist does. You push forward even though you see the challenges in right in front of you.
Absolutely. And that's, I think, what they need to hear, right? I think, to know that the challenges are there is something that we keep in our mind a lot. But knowing someone like you, Rebecca, who is established, who has gone through challenges and who has seen the other side of it, it's reassuring to hear it from someone. And that's why HC Mentors is so important, right? We are trying to bridge that gap, and we're trying to kind of break the ice. You go to a networking event, it's sometimes a little intimidating to say, hi, I'm, just a sophomore in school and I'm trying to figure out what my next class is. But this is the whole purpose of connecting tonight. So we do have some questions from students. They want to know, what classes should they even take right now to prepare them for those real world scenarios?
Well, first of all, I want to say always have a plan. When you're going to pursue a certain career, have a plan. And that plan, you're right, involves classes. The classes you should be taking right now is how to write a good story, whether it's a broadcast story or a print story or a digital story. Learn them all. Because I was in broadcasting for 28 years, TV news. I never wrote a print story. And believe me, I had to learn that when I decided to go freelance. Actually, I had been fired. We'll talk about that later, because those challenges happen too. But what I'm saying is, learn it all. Every day you should be writing. Every day you should be writing about an experience or something like that. Find those classes where you learn how to write, learn all the platforms, okay? We're talking digital, audio, broadcasting, print, whatever else, podcasting, learn it all. Because the more you have to offer, the better. Also, take a foreign language. I mean, I know a young woman who was hired out of a San Antonio university, right? She got her first job right on the border. A white girl, speaks fluent Spanish.
Wow.
It's like, whoa, unbelievable. So, if you think I'm going to be a foreign correspondent in Russia, China, take those languages. Also, if you have a certain beat you want to cover, let's say you want to be at the White House. Let's say you want to cover criminal justice. Take a criminology class. Let's say you want to cover the White House. Learn politics. What's the difference between a senator and a congressman? Learn it all. What's all the amendments? What is the Supreme Court made of? You'd be surprised how many people don't even know the name of their own mayor. It starts with local politics. So learn everything. When I went to get my master's a few years ago at the University of North Texas, I took criminology classes because I cover a lot of crime. And actually, I learned about something, Kristin, I don't know if you knew this, but there's something called victimology, criminology and victimology. So open your mind when it concerns your classes. Also, when it comes to classes, and I hope you're all writing this down, find the right professors, okay? Be a journalist when you are finding professors. Find the professors that really have a passion for teaching, who may not still be out in the field or in a newsroom, but they're in a classroom and they have that passion. Get away from the ones that, I'm sorry, there are some just teaching because they need a paycheck.
Oh, we know those.
Right? We know those. And I had a few of them at UNT. I'll be honest with you. And I made sure I said to higher ups, hey, I need someone because, I'm giving you my money. So find those good professors, because I'm going to tell you later why those professors will be important to you.
No, 1,000%. And knowing those different platforms, like you said, is so essential, because you also are not going to know right off the bat what you like. You might think that you want to be in television, and you might realize, you know what? I love print journalism. It's different, but it's along the same lines. They're cousins, right? It's all in the same family.
I mean, you're the perfect example. You were in television and then you switched over to radio, right?
Who knew? I wasn't expecting it. And I love what I'm doing. And it's along the same lines, of local news on television. I'm, doing interviews, but I get to do a more long form. I get to get into these conversations, and I'm not just ripping and reading like, oh, okay, I got to go to another interview and I only have 20 minutes to spend with you. You really get to know who you're interviewing. The experience is great. No, absolutely, Rebecca. We have some other questions here. It's just, and I know I talked about this with, Nada Perez in our first virtual Zoom. And when I was kind of talking about my own personal experience, people want to know how to get involved on campus, and they want to know if it's beneficial. And I know we're going to say, of course it is. But Rebecca, would you agree that it's not just working for the television or the radio station or the newspaper on campus, but just being involved overall? Because if you're going to be a journalist, you got to be in your community, right?
If you want to be a journalist, you have to put yourself out there. I truly believe it's not only what you know, but who knows you. You may know everything, every platform, but if you don't put yourself out there, I have no clue who you are, and I can't offer you an internship. I can't offer you your first job. So remember that it's not only what you know, but who knows you. On campus, it's so important to be involved in campus media, right? The newspaper, the radio station. I was part of the radio station at my campus at Bowling Green State University because I couldn't get into the TV station. I was kind of taken over by the fraternities and sororities at that time. But you know what? I found my place in radio, which ended up being basically one of the first things I learned. Print, there's still newspapers. Some of them have digital versions. Some of them have newspapers, right? So definitely get involved in that. Now, you may say, gosh, I have to work. I don't have time. All right. I understand that's important. You have to work. I mean, I had to work when I was going to school. I had no free time to just give away but if you can get a class that gets you in there for the credit, kind of a twofer, right? The talent, and at the same time, you're getting college credit. That's perfect. Another way to get involved is join a journalism organization's chapter. They may have a student chapter. We're talking, the Society of Professional Journalists, the National Association of Hispanic Journalists, NABJ, NPPA. There's so many organizations, student journalists. Now you may say, well, there is no SPJ chapter where I'm at, but there's an NHJ chapter. Okay, you don't have to be Hispanic to join NHJ. It does say the National Association of Hispanic Journalists, right? So you can join a local chapter, because what a local chapter does is open your eyes to events like this. The Hispanic communicators got a hold of all the local chapters, student chapters around here, and said, hey, we're having this. And they'll share this video with them. Also, a lot of those local chapters bring in speakers. What a great way to make a contact for a future mentor or something like that. And lastly, I talk about organizations on campus because you want to volunteer. There's nothing better than telling a story when you're interviewing for an internship, a scholarship, the first job. And they say, I see you were the vice president of the local NHJ chapter on your campus. Tell me about that. Oh, yes, I love volunteering. I love helping students. I brought in speakers and I did all this. Not only does that show me as a boss who wants to hire somebody, not only does it show me that you have talent from your resume and the classes you took and college media and all that, but it also shows me that you give back, that you're willing to volunteer to help other people. Because again, I truly also believe we succeed together. And so when you show that you're willing to volunteer, to help put together like an event, all of us are volunteers here. Me, Kristin, Magda, we're all volunteers. We're not getting paid for this. But what happens? This is part of our network. This is how we give back. Because I really think when you give back, someone gives to you. So think about those things, chapters, getting involved in college media. It all leads to building your network, which I'm sure we're going to talk about building your network in that area too.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this leads right into it. But right before we get into that, I wanted to build on a point that you just mentioned, giving back, whether it be your time, your talent, or your treasure, right? You can always give back in some sort of form of fashion. But one thing, Rebecca, and I wonder if you agree with me with this, but when I talk to students, we're in a social media world where, photos and pictures can make things look so fabulous, and so glamorous. And I always tell, students when I go visit the classroom, yeah, you might see a picture of me, or you might see someone, famous on social media, YouTuber, whoever it may be. It's not about you. It is about the community you're serving, the way you're using your platform to uplift others who need that opportunity. And that is a way of dedicating your time and your service, is by getting involved, is by volunteering, is by getting in, communicating with those people in these organizations. And that is also what I wanted to lead into with networking, because that was a question for someone who wanted to know, building a good network of contacts. When do college students start doing that part? Wouldn't you say right now?
I mean, for example, we should be in their network, right? right now, anytime you go somewhere, any event, whether it's a Zoom or something on campus, start looking up those people that are speaking, connect with them, even say, hey, Rebecca, I saw you at the Zoom this afternoon. Thank you for this, blah, blah, blah. Make that connection. Because when you connect with me on Twitter or X or whatever it's called today, especially LinkedIn, I'm going to look over and see, okay, what do you have to offer? Who are you? And if I see what kind of person you are from your LinkedIn or your Twitter and what you're putting out there, I may have an internship that I'm thinking, mental note, because by the way, in X or Twitter, I still call it Twitter, you can make lists, student lists, climate change, reporters, whatever. So that's important. But Kristin, I want to jump back on something you brought up, which was important about, it is not about me or you or anybody else here. It is about the public and informing them. And this is key to all the students and early career people. Make sure you're in this profession for the right reasons, okay? If your goal is to be, a well-known TikTok dancer, influencer, no, don't do that. Go and do that. Like if you really want to be the next Kylie Jenner or Kim Kardashian, which I have a lot of respect for those women because they're very good at branding and all that, but they sell products. I'm not here selling anything. I'm here to inform the public because this is what they turn to us during hurricanes and fires and, tsunamis and poverty and, job loss. They don't turn to us to see us dance, which I have nothing against people who dance, but get in it for the right reasons. And that is so key today. I've seen some TikTok people that are journalists and they're phenomenal, like the way they share the stories they do, because you can tell it's all about informing the public. Like right now, whether they're on TikTok or Thread or Twitter, they're informing the public about this hurricane that's on the way here. But if you're going to stop and dance in between, it kind of dilutes what we're doing as journalists, because this is such a serious, it can be a very fun career, but it is a serious one. So I say, really think, am I doing this because I want to be the next Kylie Jenner? Because I say, leave this business and go find a brand that you can sell, lipstick, cars, whatever. But if you're really doing it because you want to be someone like, Cecilia Vega or, Anderson Cooper or to that level, or somebody who like is a local broadcaster or local print person, then, what you're doing is upholding what we really believe in, and that is truth and information. Does that make sense?
And curiosity has to drive you, right?
Oh.
You have to be curious about, the people, their stories. Everybody has a story, and you have to be genuinely curious about that.
Yeah.
No,
But
for sure.
Going back to the network, it is key
Yes.
that we all build our networks. I'm constantly building a network. Today, whoever ended up on this Zoom, I'm going to connect with them because I know, everybody who's here, I'm seeing their names. I'm going to connect with them. My network is growing every day.
1000%.
But a network, is important. I think that your network, you have to build it online. You have to build an online network, whether it's Twitter or social, any social media, build it there. Because again, and remember, what you put out there is what represents you. If you're going to start your profile with, cat lover, love to dance, sing, rap, that doesn't tell me that journalistic part in you. So I can't. So if I'm going through Twitter, I'm going to pass, and I may find somebody go, oh, this person, he'd be good for my internship, that kind of thing. So your profile should really sell you, but that's part of your network. Find people. Professors are perfect for your network because your network is going to help you get that job you want. Believe me. Whether it's a professor giving you a recommendation or whether it's someone like me who says, I see I met someone at that Zoom that night who wants to work with Major League Baseball. Okay, we're all connected. Professors are great for your network. Fellow students in your class, right, Kristin? You may be sitting next to someone that's going to get a job in.
That's right. I was just going to say, sometimes the person you're networking doesn't have a title. Sometimes it's the person you met on the bus stop who has, endless information about a neighborhood that is being torn down. And this person has lived there and has gone down that same bus route for the past 40 years. And that is going to be your next person to interview. Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree with you.
Any speakers, again, I'm a speaker tonight, Kristin's a speaker, Micah has talked. I mean, many of us, find them. When you go to a journalism event, build your network there. Find someone, again, who can lead you to that ultimate internship, the job, a recommendation, someone who can, more than anything, and I know, you definitely, Kristin, have this, but who's important in your network is a mentor or mentors, more than one. And these are people who will tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear, what you need to hear. Yes, that person will say, yeah, I just saw your story and it didn't make sense. It didn't have all the who, what, where, when. Okay, now you're going to hear good things from your parents, so go to them for that. But you want the reality check, you want a mentor, and not just one, but several. What I give you as advice is going to maybe differ from Kristin, from her experiences, but find people who will tell you the truth. Yesterday, I was talking to a young woman from North Carolina on the phone, and I had looked at her reel for television, and I was just like, this needs a whole makeover. It needed a whole makeover. The woman is super talented, but it needed a makeover. And I said, that story didn't speak to me. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to step on your mentor's toes, but what did they say? And they said, well, this and that. And I go, okay, first question is your mentor a TV reporter? And she said, no. I go, okay, so that's another thing, students or, early career people, find mentors who have either done the job you want or are doing it now. Because I would not go to a print journalist to tell me how to do TV, okay? Because they don't know. I write TV. I write, the way TV people write, right? On the other hand, a print journalist is not going to come to me and say, hey, Rebecca, how do you write this narrative? I don't know. Now I do print, but back in the day, no. So find a mentor who's doing the job you want, who's doing it now or has done it in the past. That is so key. And find a mentor who's not afraid to tell you the truth. And sometimes the truth can really wake you up. Really wake you up. If you talk to any of my mentees, I have made them laugh. I have made them think. I think some of them are like, gosh, I build them up. And sometimes, I have to kind of let them know the reality. And sometimes it can hurt, but I always say, listen, if I don't tell you this, nobody will. That means you won't be able to climb that ladder to where you want to go. Mentors are key, and those are in your network. And constantly build your network.
I have so many spider webs to this that I want to get to, but first, let's just quickly, I just want to quickly talk a little bit about the social media. And I wanted to mention one thing for all of our students that are listening. You have to remember what you put out there is your reputation. Okay. So as you're continuing to build your network, it's no longer your friends that will see your social media profile and your cute pictures or whatever it is. It's now your boss. It's now your future boss. It's now your coworker. So you have to think about what you're putting out there. If you Google, either one of us right now, first thing on Google now is going to show you all the latest things that we have posted. And let me tell you, there might have been a day that I was like, you know what? I'm sitting bored in a, commercial break. And, I tweeted out, man, I'm hungry. And then I'm like, why did I post that? That has nothing to do with my brand, has nothing to do, it's not newsworthy. Delete, we've been there. Things are changing, but like 10 years ago, Google didn't do that, didn't put what your latest Facebook post. Things are changing and you have to constantly think about your reputation. So just wanted to co-sign on that when you were talking about the TikTok dances and things that are outside of, your professional career.
And get your ego out of it. Especially, I hate to say this to the TV people. It's all about, if I see another woman in television news tell me about her beautiful dress, what does that have to do with the hurricane coming? What does that have to do with being homeless? I don't really care where you shop for your clothing. Now, if you're a stylist, even if you are Kylie Jenner or Kim Kardashian, yeah, I may watch them because that's what they do for a living. But, use your platform for what you want to be. I'm not saying don't have fun. Of course, I may say, hey, I just got this outfit, from a designer, blah, blah, blah. But again,
Not the focus of everyday posts and all of that.
yeah, and some of it I think can be ego driven. So, I think you have to keep your ego out of it. But you're right. Your social media is very important for anybody. I know that, you may be in college or early in your career, but most companies now have what you call in my opinion, they're social media detectives.
Mm-hmm.
Boss may want you. They're like, God, I love Kristin. She's great. All right, do a social media search on her. And
For
remember, everything you put out there leaves a digital fingerprint.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if they can find pedophiles, okay, who try to delete everything, they can find
They got you. They will find it.
They will
They will
it.
find the dirt.
Said, if you say something racist or something super ugly or whatever, they're going to find it.
No,
And
absolutely.
that employer will judge you on that, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And let's go from that point, Rebecca, from the generational gap there. We have, our baby boomers, our Gen Xers, our Gen Zers, our millennials, all the things. The technology has changed tremendously. What are some real expectations that Gen Zers right now going into the workforce need to know?
I think what they need to know is definitely how to communicate on social media. That is so key. I mean, sometimes because social media is what's used a lot. And also know the platforms, right? LinkedIn has a certain way you speak. Twitter has another one, and TikTok has definitely its own personality, right? That is so key. Another thing too that's important is a lot of people always go, I'm not on Facebook. I'm 18 years old. I'm not on Facebook. But who's hiring people? The baby boomers, and they're on Facebook. So it's like anything. I don't just say I watch CBS, NBC, and I listen to NPR, listen to KRLD. I listen to everything and I watch everything. Same thing with social media. Yeah. I have a TikTok account. By the way, don't follow me. The Chinese may be collecting our information. But anyway, I have a TikTok, I have a Thread, Snapchat. I'm on all of them. There's certain ones I use a lot. Some of them I just go on there just to check it out. But know how to communicate on social media. That is key because people will watch how you communicate. How you communicate now is how you will communicate once you get that job and you're telling me different things. Also, I think that one of the keys things today is that you have more opportunities now than people from my generation. You may think, oh, that's not true. I keep seeing people lose their jobs or whatever. But your generation, this generation right now, the youngest generation and in school, you have it all. You have it all. And I just think the only one that can stop you is you. That's it. Does that make sense, Kristin?
Absolutely. I think a lot of times when I have young girls that come up to me and I say, look, they'll say, oh, you're doing this and you're doing that. I'm like, because the generation before me knocked down those walls. I have them to thank for allowing me to have space in this. And now when you come up, you're going to have an opportunity to bring that next generation. So it's always a payback, and a pay it forward at the same time. And let's talk about those jobs. People want to know now about internships. With the pandemic, things just shook everything up. People started, limiting their internships or getting rid of them altogether. And it just made it really difficult. I mean, there's a whole generation of graduates that didn't have that normal experience, Rebecca, of getting that internship, getting that, part-time job, and so the resume might be a little scarce. What advice do you have for them?
I think what's important is internships are open to everybody. Okay. And so if you want an internship, don't start looking for it, when right before summer starts or right before fall starts. You need to start looking for it 6 months in advance. Start making a list. What are the deadlines for all of them? And think beyond your little neighborhood, okay? What I want all of you to think, and again, this is for students in early career, anybody in any part of journalism, be willing to have an open heart, open mind. If it means an internship and you live in Texas, and the internship is in Oregon, go. If they're willing to pay you to move out there and have an internship, go. because that's part of your story when you're looking for that permanent job. Oh yeah, I live in Texas, but took a job all the way in Montana. That shows that you have the courage to leave and you're independent, and that we love, right? But look 6 months in advance. I say that's the same. Oh, what happened? Hello?
You're still there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Something happened. I don't know. Anyway, so make sure that you do that. Make sure that you have 6 months in advance. Also, make a list. Make a list of where you want to target. You want to target New York? You want to stay in Texas? Make a list. Be willing to apply for all internships, because you just never know who's going to say yes and who's going to say no. Another thing for internships, and Kristin, you know this because I never had any internships because I did not have time to, in my day, they weren't paying. Nowadays they pay. But
Yeah, I just found that out that they pay now. Like,
yeah, right.
Excuse me, what?
I'm going to tell them they used to not pay. But another thing too is keep that resume updated. You need an updated resume. So, like clockwork, 6 months in advance, you have your list, you have your resume, you have all your social media that's looking good. Make sure that you're posting. If you wrote a story for the campus newspaper, you did a story for the TV station on campus, or you wrote a great essay for one of your classes, post it, put a PDF in. I'm proud of this. I got an A. Make sure you put a little watermark on it so no one steals it. But because there's people that would do that. But do that. Put yourself out there. The internships are key. An internship is key. And what did I tell you about your network? Make sure you have your recommendations, that you tell your professors 6 months, 4 months in advance. Hey, I'm going to need a recommendation for this internship. Just want to let you know, give you the heads up. Okay. So don't tell them 2 days before the deadline. And also, the deadline is, let's say, December 1st of 2023. Now, you're going to have it submitted by November. Early is better. Internships are key. Now, here's another thing, Kristin, not everybody can do internships, right? We don't have time, maybe. Sometimes it is required through college. So, hopefully you can. But if you can't, go and find a community paper. There's so many community papers, nonprofits. Say, hey, I have a story. I don't care if they pay you $50, $100, just get it published. Because the minute you have it published in a community paper, by the way, I write for 2 community papers in town in Dallas, even though we have the Dallas Morning News. For the White Rock Lake Weekly, it's a community paper, and also Texas Metro News. I'm often say, hey, I found a story. They may pay me, but usually I say, hey, keep it. You can pay somebody else. But you can get paid and have a story published as a college student. That looks great. I became a professional when I was in college. Even if you don't have an internship, you can say, look what I have to offer. That's important. But look for those internships 6 months in advance. Make a spreadsheet list them all, what states they're in, the deadlines. Be prepared. Be prepared.
No, absolutely, Rebecca. When you were saying, write down all those things, I have a distinct memory when I was in high school. My older sister told me to keep a journal and write down all my wins and write down all my challenges. She said, all those wins, she goes, will end up being your resume out of high school. This was when I was still applying for, colleges. And she said, when you start writing those college essays, you're going to talk about these wins, this challenge. And if it was a loss, you're going to talk about what you would have done differently, and she goes, by the end of the year, you're not going to remember all of it. So she goes, so write them down as they happen. And I still do that to this day, because like you said, you always need to keep your resume updated. And sometimes, life gets so busy, you forget details. So writing it down, I would definitely co-sign on that. And
I think another thing that's key for internships is that, because with the internship, sometimes they'll say, write an essay about you. So think about what you want to tell about your story, why this internship is important. For those who joined us late, when people would ask me, why is it important to be a journalist? Because I want to serve the public. Because my parents, and I tell people, my parents were undocumented, turned green card holders, American citizens. They helped the world. That's what I wanted to do. My father said, don't follow the dollar, follow your passion. That's what I've done. That's part of my story. They're going to remember that, like, tell your story. Not about, I did this and that. Tell your story my story is unique from Kristin's, from everybody else here. You have your own story. What makes your heart pump? What make me feel it? That's important. If I don't feel it, I won't remember you. So make sure you have an essay, a small, they may say 50-word essay, they may say 100-word essay. Learn how to tell a good story about you. It's not bragging. It's about telling a good story about you and why you would be great for this internship.
Yeah. Absolutely. And then my last little thing I was going to add a sprinkle in there when you said be diverse in your experience, especially in your opportunities. So I was working part-time as a production assistant through college at CW33, but to graduate, it was required of me to have an internship, and nobody wanted to hire me because they're like, why are we going to hire you? You're the competition. You already got a job. And I was like, but I need it for school. But CW it's like my bread and butter right now as a college student. I'm making money off of this. So, and NBC5 took me on and they said, we only have spots right now for sports interns. Rebecca, and I got a friend on here who's a sports girl and she's going to laugh at me because I am not a sports girl.
You have to know how to cover it.
And I said, okay. And I, the best 2 weeks of my life, the best 2 weeks, I got to meet Nolan Ryan. I got to meet Danica Patrick. I mean, I got to go to the, Texas Motor Speedway. I had never been before. It was such an eye-opening experience. And I was like, wow, this is a whole world that I never thought that I would need to have interest in. But like you said, you cover these sports stories as they're news stories and they're important to communities. And, there's so many branches to that of the importance of why you need to know a little bit of everything. But that I remember that.
You have to know, Kristin, you have to know.
Absolutely.
Know, as a radio anchor now, that you have to know it all. Because suddenly there's breaking news, and if you don't know that the hurricane's coming and you haven't kept up with it, same thing with me. I don't know football, but I went to the last Dallas Cowboys Super Bowl. I was sent there. I don't know basketball. I have covered the NBA playoffs. I don't know NASCAR. I have been sent out there. I don't cover golf. I don't know the game. I've had to interview Tiger Woods. The thing is, a good journalist knows all of it. I mean, did I ask Tiger Woods about his, game? No, I asked him about his personal life and how that affects his game, right? Yep. That's the story I have.
Yep.
You have to know
the angle. Yeah.
And so, I also have sports people like, I don't want to do news. Really? But sometimes breaking news is, the Dallas Cowboy who, got caught for drunk driving. No disrespect to Dallas Cowboys, but, that kind of thing. And
sure.
Beyond, I always tell people who are in sports, you got to know more than stats and scores. That's it. If you don't know more, then you're not a well-rounded sports journalist. You have to know it all.
Oh, yeah. Tell that to Adrian.
Sorry, I think talking about the sports, that everybody can search on Google the scores, and that's all. You need to be more proficiency talking about the story, talking about maybe a target story, because only if you write scores, it's very easy to someone search on Google, and that's it. I think this is the difference between a great journalist and only a student.
Yes, exactly. You have to know it all. That's all there is to it.
Absolutely. Thank you, Eric. The other thing what I was going to mention, and lastly on as we move on from internships, is I had someone, Rebecca, call me a couple months ago wanting to have an internship here at our station. We no longer take interns, but I said, you know what? I said the same thing you did. Find a local a newspaper and see if they have, opportunities available. The other thing I said was ask for opportunities to shadow. Sometimes you can call, the HR at a TV station or radio station, if that is the field that you want to cover, and you can shadow a reporter, you can shadow in studio, and, you can kind of see if, in a way, without getting the credit for an internship. Sometimes they'll say you can come in once a week or something like that. They won't put you to work, but it's something that you can do. And a lot of people don't think about that either. So
and I'll say this to you, it's too bad that you don't have internships, but I will recommend that, hey, keep pushing for them in there, because how many of these local TV stations have brought in interns and then they hire them because they're that good?
Yeah.
And that's what your radio station is missing out. What if there's that intern, you go, oh my God, look at this person. They have it in audio. They know what they're doing.
Absolutely. So let's talk about also someone wanted to know resumes. Resumes, I feel like have changed a lot, Rebecca. It used to be like you had to have an airtight resume. And sometimes we talk about social media and that kind of goes hand in hand. Somebody wanted to know, what about a resume? Employers and internship coordinators, they request them often. What should they include? And should they have a cover letter? Let's talk about resumes, reels, cover letters as a whole.
Yeah, yeah. I know many employers who want resumes. And I think that the resume should include at the top any campus experience you have in the job you're applying for, right? Whether it's television, definitely. You can put also, here's what it should include: any experience you have in media at all, whether it's on campus or you've created your own platform, your own newsletter, your own website with your own stories. Okay, that's number one. Number two, it should have the classes with the tools that taught you, right? Editing skills, that you know how to shoot with certain cameras, that, yeah, you can, build your own website. Anything that shows me what you can do, bring to the table. If you know any foreign languages, definitely. I always put on bilingual. I speak, I write in Spanish, I can read it too. That's key. Your resume should include at least 3 recommendations, their names. Rebecca Aguilar, here's her phone number, blah, blah, blah. That's just on the resume, not on LinkedIn, okay? Because don't make me ask you for a recommendation. Just put it there so I can just call, because you don't want these people to work to just have it all there. Put it in there. At the top, people always say you have an objective. Just say, my goal. My goal is to work as a TV reporter or have an internship as a TV reporter. Boom. Less is more. You don't have to, and please don't embellish. I'm a great storyteller. Who said that you were great? You? I'm an excellent this. Just get, again, edit yourself. Great, awesome, fantastic, excellent. Don't self-describe. Just say what you can do it, that kind of thing. And again, a lot of people say keep it to 1 page. Yeah, if you can keep it to 1 page. Also, for you people that do work in campus media, enter your work for awards. Another way that you get more eyes, like, who is this person, from this campus who's winning this television award or radio or podcasting? Awards are a good way to expand your network. And lastly, the cover letter. It's back to what you did when you applied for an internship. Tell me your story. Hi, I'm Rebecca Aguilar. I'd like to have an internship or, a job at your station because my passion is to be a TV reporter, and then tell why. Tell me why. Not because you're great or you're awesome, but what is it in your gut that tells you, I want to inform the public. I want to be there when when new laws are being made or whatever. Show me your passion. Show me that gut feeling like, oh my God, where I want to meet you so badly because that letter speaks to me. Not telling me how awesome you are, but how it speaks to me. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And also, how can you be an asset to that company? They want to know how you're going to make them money, how you're going to make them the first exclusive, headline, you're going to be the first at the scene. They also want to know how you're going to benefit them because they are a company too. Can we talk about that?
Right. And that you get the job done, that you're not a spoon-fed reporter, that you're an organized producer, that you come up with story ideas, that you help build your newspaper at your campus because you brought this or that, because you were able to uncover a story because you worked at the campus TV station and were able to tell that a dean was stealing money. Show them what you have, and also that if they hire you, it's a benefit not only for you, but for them, as Kristin said, because they're getting someone who can hit the ground running. But it's also someone who's willing to learn. You don't know everything yet, but you're willing to learn. And that's key, because some people, they leave college and they go into a job and they think they know everything. It's like, this is the real world. You were in another world before. So be a sponge. Kristin, one of the things you said that was key is be curious all the time. The day you lose your curiosity, you're done in this business. Mm-hmm. I'm curious all the time. Whether I go work out or I'm at Costco, I'm looking around. What's going on? Who's doing what? Who is saying what? Because don't sit by me at Starbucks because I'll be listening to your conversation. I do have Astro ears.
As that she gets the scoop. You know, let's talk also about when these young students, they're going to become young professionals sooner or later, and there are a lot of firsts sometimes when you're in the workplace culture, you know, boss and employee relationship, you know, knowing how to also, you know, build your reputation in the workplace. Let's talk a little bit about that. I know you got a lot of experience in that.
Yeah. You know, preparing for a newsroom is different. You know, everywhere there's politics, whether it's a college, it's a classroom, you know, your professor has his or her favorites. Politics. Whether you work in college media, there's politics. Who gets to be the news director? Who gets to be editor in chief? There's politics there. Same thing in the real world. It will happen too. But the beauty about the real world is now you are really definitely in control. You may think the bosses are in control, but you're in control. And never, what is key is just keep pushing forward. Be confident and have the courage to push forward. And never look at your boss like he's the principal and you're the second grader. You're both adults. He needs you and you need him or her, right? That's what's key. But there will be, again, Kristin, this is so important that your mentors will play a big part here. Every day, pretty much every day, I get a call or a tweet or someone, I need to talk to you. You know, I need some help. I need basically someone who needs to be talked off the ledge. And I mean, even today, I talked to an investigative reporter. He's been around 30 some years, and he was feeling terrible that, you know, he was very upset, in tears, and that I had to talk him out of it. You know, there will be these ups and downs in this business, but not only in us. My brother's a physician's assistant. They have their ups and downs. My sister has worked for the city government. They have their ups and downs. But with every challenge that you face in a newsroom, including challenging people, learn from them. Use them, never let them win, of course. You know, you're in control. Never give away your power. That's something that my friend Eleanor Vega always taught me, is never give away your power. You have the power. You have even the power to walk out and say, I'm not working here anymore, especially if you don't have a contract. But remember, I think that's what's key, is that you're in control. And for some reason, some people feel like, oh gosh, you know, I'm here. Yes, sir. No, sir. I'm here like a slave. You're not a slave. You're a professional, and you should always be respected.
The workplace culture has changed a lot since the pandemic. And even with a lot of millennials and Gen Zers right now in the work culture, a lot of work job experts, they're saying, look, your parents' advice is no longer good advice because the market has changed. I've heard some people say, you know, your parents, millennials and up, you know, they stayed at a job and they were loyal, you know, for years. Now it's commonplace to jump every 2-3 years. Well, in media, depending on which level of media you're in, moving all the time is not really unusual. What advice do you give for newbies that are getting into their first contract and they're trying to figure out, you know what, I'm getting overworked, I'm starting to have burnout, and this is only my second market. I know you've probably had conversations with young professionals about that.
Right. I've had not only young professionals, we're talking across the board. Number one, do your research on the company you're going to work for. All right. How do they treat your people? So again, when I started back in the day, 40 years ago, I couldn't look it up I couldn't look it up. There's groups like MM James, which is on Facebook just for female MMJs, storytellers, and there's all these groups. Join them.
Shout out Latinos in journalism.
Yeah, Latinas in journalism, right? I mean, go and treat every job you're going to go get, including internships, okay? Because you don't want to be in an internship where the people there are jerks, right? Treat it like a story. Treat it like an onion. Take every layer off. Don't be afraid to say, hey, I'm applying for this job at the CBS station in Dallas. What can you know? What can you tell me? What can you tell me from the top, the general manager, to the talent? People will tell you. They'll, or ask me and I'll find out for you. But find out the good, the bad, the ugly. Ask questions. Don't be desperate just to take any job, because I see people that are desperate and then they end up in hell, a newsroom hell. If some boss promised you something, all right, write it all down. You promised that you were going to help move me there. You promised that I'm going to get training. You know, it will be, some things will be in the contract, but not. Write an email. After today's discussion, you did talk about you're going to help me move. You're going to provide training, put it there, because that is a verb, that is an agreement, and send it to them. Just want to double check that you are, you know, basically committing to this. If I'm committing to your company, do your homework. That is key. If you don't have a contract and you feel that it is not a good place for you, have a plan. What did I say before? The plan is a 6-month, in this case, maybe 4 months. Give yourself 4 months to save enough money, find another job, let your mentors and your network know that you'll be looking, and then get the hell out. That's key. Because your mental health, your being a good journalist, is meaning standing up for yourself. And if you feel the place is toxic, or the people are toxic, or they misled you, then you can leave, especially if you have no contract. And that is key.
Rebecca, when I think of when I started my career in 2011, and 2008 is when I actually started working at CW33. And I remember being in that newsroom culture, and the recession hit. I remember seeing people leave, get laid off. And by the time I was graduating 2011, a lot of my mentors said, this is not really a time for you to get in news. You know, you can try to be a reporter. I was interested in weather at the time. I was thinking to go back to school for meteorology. And, you know, I said, well, let me just cast my net, see if I get a reporter job that's worthwhile. I remember getting a job offer in Ardmore, Oklahoma for $17,000 a year. Rebecca, I had never seen that much money on a piece of paper for an offer, but I thought I had hit the jackpot. I said, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And I remember my parents ripping that contract offer in front of my face. And I said, what's going on? Why would you do that? And they said, did you do your due diligence? Did you see what the cost of living would be in that city? Did you look at, you know, how many, you know, hours would be required of you, the schedule? And let me tell you, Rebecca, that was a wake-up call, because I hadn't. And I just thought, well, you told me to go to college. You told me to get a job. I got a job. This has got to be it. I can't imagine that I'm not the only person to ever have that type of experience.
Oh, definitely. I mean, you know, when I started in the business, and here's another thing, layoffs happen all the time. I was laid off one time when I was.
And we're seeing a lot of them right now, was my point.
But here's the thing, you're seeing a lot of them because we have social media. Back when I started, we didn't have social media, so how was going to know? How was I going to know a TV station or a nonprofit was laying people off? So layoffs happen all the time. Companies go under all the time. It's part of our business. It's like any business out there. I don't know how many, you know, beauty salons have closed down since the pandemic, right? It just happens that it's out there. Don't let it scare you. I don't think you should be afraid. But I think that you're right. You have to do your due diligence. In my first job, I think I got paid like $15,000. I swear, it was like part-time. I didn't have internships, so thank you God, I had a part-time job at a TV station. But I remember driving a Volkswagen Bug. I made my own clothes. I bought, you know, makeup at, you know, like a Walgreens, which I still buy makeup at Walgreens. You know, if I had to live with frijoles and arroz and tortillas for the rest of my life, hey, I love it. I was a vegetarian before I even became famous. But when you have a passion for this business, you will make it happen some way, somehow. And yeah, I mean, if you got in this business to be, you know, famous, like those people on 60 Minutes, okay, you know, all right, good luck.
You got to pay your dues. You got to start somewhere, right?
You do. And if you think that, gosh, I'm going to get rich, like I didn't make 6 figures until maybe 10 years into the business. Yeah, definitely. But what is key is stay out of debt. You know, that's another thing too. If you want to quit a job, right? I always had a plan B. I stayed out of debt. A lot of my coworkers that used to work with me at Fox 4, they drove Mercedes, Lexus. I drove a Volkswagen. A lot of my coworkers at Fox 4, I remember they shopped at Gucci and Nordstrom's, or that I went to Target. I, you know, also bought shoes at Payless. Remember that company that went under? Makeup at, you know, CVS, Walgreens. I have no shame. You know, a lot of them would just spend. So they were slaves to the paycheck. And I was never a slave to the paycheck. So I knew, by the way, when I got fired, when I walked out, I was like, okay, I'm debt free. The only thing that I owed was on my house, and that's nothing, you know, because my husband still worked there, by the way. So, you know, stay debt free. So when you want to say, I'm out of this messy place, you can do it with a smile.
Rebecca, it has been a tremendous evening. I think we have some questions here. Is that, go ahead.
Is it a bad situation that I don't have another plan? I mean, to be a sport journalist is my only plan for the life. If I fail, I don't have anything another passionate to me.
Well, no, I mean, but you know, the thing is, when you're between jobs, like let's say you have a sports job here, and let's say, you know, the company goes under or you get fired, but then you're looking for your other job, you still have a lot of talent, right? I mean, you can still write, you can probably shoot video. So, you know, go make money elsewhere. You can freelance. I mean, and that's another thing that I was asked to cover, freelancing. Look, for you people who want to freelance, what's key, especially students and early career people, you have to work somewhere for at least 3 years to show people. When you freelance at one, you can show up for the job, you get the job done, you have experience. By the way, when you have a full-time job, you have benefits like health benefits, because once you become a freelancer, which I am, you're going to have to buy your own, you know, health insurance and things like that. So for anybody who wants to freelance, more power to you, but I strongly believe you should at least do 2 or 3 years of professional works. So you also have recommendations from those jobs that can say, yeah, yeah, Kristin's going freelance. Yeah, she's great on the radio. She can put together packages. Yeah, I made her do this one story, and look, she gave me an exclusive. You need that from the professional world. You need that training. You need that consistency. Show up, do a story, put it out there. But you, Eric, yeah, definitely. You know, the plan B is something that you can make money from until you get that job again. If for some reason there's a job loss or whatever, always have a plan B. But plan B also includes stay out of debt, because something has to pay the bills, right?
Yeah.
Thank you for your question, Eric. My last question to you, Rebecca, as we wrap things up here is, you know, this is Hispanic Communicators, and we have a lot of Latinos that are joining us tonight and will continue to join us as this gets posted on YouTube. You know, I've had a lot in my experience, and I'm sure in yours, of Latinos that feel torn. They grew up in, so sorry, I keep hitting this mic. They're raised in a household where maybe it's predominantly Spanish, but, you know, outside they speak English, and they don't know which world to get into, or they don't feel like they're accepted in maybe English media because they have a little bit of an accent. These are just common things that we hear in the Latino community and for young professionals. You have anything to say on that?
Yeah. Keep the naysayers out of your head. Keep the noise out of your head. Keep the negative people out of your head. You know, here's the thing. If you don't speak Spanish, who cares? As long as you're proud of who you are, whether you're Cuban, Mexican American, whether you're an immigrant, whether, you know, Afro-Latino, whatever, as long as you are proud of who you are, that's what matters. Not the language, not all that other stuff. I cannot stand when people are like, oh, you know, so-and-so, he doesn't speak Spanish. So what? You don't know why. Was it because his parents were discriminated and they thought, maybe I won't teach him Spanish so he won't be discriminated? For those people out there, don't be judgmental. For you people who are like, oh, well, you're not Hispanic enough, you're not Latino enough, ignore those people. What is important when you're a journalist is to have the courage to push forward, to push through those people, including people in our own group, including Latinos, who say, you know, I don't, you know, look at her Spanish is terrible. Do I speak perfect Spanish? No, I had a friend of mine from Mexico one time. Oh, you have that English accent, that American accent. Oh, okay. And I mean, I got the American accent, even though she has an accent too, right? For people who have accents, so what? I mean, no one ever says to the British people, oh my God, I can't stand that accent. An accent is part of your story. An accent is part of you. As long as you are proud of who you are, that's all that matters. Again, get the noise out of your head, get those naysayers out of it, and negative people, including racists. Because as Latinos, believe me, I've heard every racist person, including in journalism organizations, by the way. Nothing stops you. The only person who can stop you is you. That's the only person. Because no one else, I don't give away my power to anybody. My power is my power. And that includes being in control of who I am, what I do, when I do it, how I say it, my life.
Rebecca Aguilar with tonight's HC Mentors, DFW Hispanic Communicators. Thank you so much for the time. Thank you, all of you, for participating tonight. If you are watching this past the live, thank you so much for watching here on YouTube, and also with connecting with us with some amazing questions beforehand and during. We have asked for everyone to share their social media handles with us. You can add Rebecca, myself, DFW Hispanic Communicators, Magda Salazar, President, to any of your social media circles, and reach out to us anytime. Of course, this is what this is for. We are here for you. We're breaking the ice with HC Mentors. Please share this with friends that are interested in getting into the industry. And anything else you wanted to add, Rebecca?
No, I just say, thank you. Thank you for all of you who want to be journalists, who want to work in a newsroom and maybe eventually in a classroom. We need you. That's all there is to it. So, I'm not going to be around forever. Kristin's not going to be around forever. We need you, but pay it forward. Help someone else get into our business, because the more we have, the more we can inform the public. And those politicians who take us on, they won't.
There you have it. Again, make sure you guys get involved with Hispanic Communicators. We do have some upcoming events before we let you go. Just to let you know that we have our HCDFW scholarships. They are now open. The deadline is September 30th of this year. You can go to hcdfw.org/scholarships. We also have board elections coming up. Student representative role is available. Heads up on that. We've been talking about ways you can get involved.
Resume. Yep.
Yeah. You can visit the bylaws page for more information about the role. You can send an email to hcdfwboard@hcdfw.org. All of that information, of course, is on the website. One last thing is we have the annual event happening in October, so mark your calendars for that. That'll be on a Saturday, so no excuses. We will see you guys there. No classes on Saturday, right? And it'll be in downtown Dallas from 6:30 to 11 p.m. More information, again, on the website. If you don't already know it, you can also follow them on social media. That's it for tonight's HC Mentors. Thank you so much, Rebecca Aguilar.
Thank you, my friend.
Thanks to all of you for tuning in. We appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye.